Hey guys, just got out of work. Wanted to discuss the first episode of the Best Ball Playbook. So this is for Underdog. Underdog's main contest, BBM, Best Ball Mania opened today. Drafters Main opened yesterday. DraftKings Millie Maker opened a couple hours ago. So what the idea of the Best Ball Playbook is essentially is to give you a snapshot, to kind of give you the answers to the test as much as I can, so you can get up to speed with the current best ball environment as quick as possible. So I'll do a longer intro video for this when I make this series going forward, but let's dive in right now. So the first thing you're going to notice when you look at the default ranks in Underdog is that the ADPs are flat 1.0, 2.0, 7.0. Now, if you think about average draft position, when you take averages, it's very rarely ever flat. This means that these are stock ADPs that are put in here, and it looks like that they're just kind of rounded off to the nearest ADP from pre-draft rankings. So, big macro factors, what you'll notice from the draft and people telling you who the big winners and losers are the veteran RBs. So, as you can clearly see, if we scroll down a little bit here, we're going to see Tony Pollard, who was priced here based on the fear that Jeremiah Love would go to the backfield. Same thing with Rashad White. Same thing with Aaron Jones. Even I would say Cam Scatabo to a decent extent. Even David Montgomery, they didn't really add anybody of significance in that backfield. So what you're going to be noticing when you're drafting is these ADPs are completely fake. None of these guys are going to go at their price. Jadarian Price, for example, is the poster boy of get him now before he screams up. Cool. But the idea is you do have some running back value late, but do not play it by the ADP because they will not go where they're going if you draft in the next 24 hours. Now, why I would suggest drafting the next 24 hours and choosing your draft slot or draft time pretty well is because there are going to be a lot of people drafting off ADP because real-time assistants aren't up, overlays are barely up, ADPs are stale, and people just want to dip their toes in and get their own takes on these rankings right now. So what I would suggest is because you're seeing a lot of these running back values late, the reaction to that in a lot of draft rooms that I've been in, I've done 10 BBM fasts so far into 40 puppy slows and 10 drafters mains. What we're seeing is that the running backs early on are deprioritized because they're thinking, what can I get later? Or what can I get now that I can't get later? And that's obviously elite receiver. So you're seeing some falling values here, all the way from James Cook, Ashton Genty falling a couple spots down to Kyron falling all the way to 39 in a draft I did earlier, and then you're seeing people start clicking these running backs around the 50s. Why? Because they feel like they're getting comfortable with wide receiver. Now, with the advent of 12 personnel, you've probably heard a little bit about this. I can go deeper into this, but probably not in this recording because this is only going to be 5 minutes or less. The top end of the receivers, the six that you see on your screen right here, in these running backs, these are highly prized receivers because they're going to get a more condensed target share and they have higher upside. Now, after that, you drop into some of these receivers after that. Malik Neighbors has injury issues. Drake London, who's going to be the quarterback in the year? Rasheed Rice, Mahomes, efficiency, but he'll probably move up to be fair. Pickens, the number 2 in Dallas. Nico Collins, which you get the idea, right? So once we get past these top couple receivers, people feel a lot more comfortable clicking running backs in this range. However, if you do start with an anchor running back in the first round, I would almost say that because these ADPs are shifting, you can probably push some of these receivers that get a little flatter here. Really, I would say the Tedero McMillan tier all the way down to the Zay Flowers, Ladd, Luther Burden tier, Mike Evans. You can kind of pick your flavor there. Even Jalen Waddle, if you believe he's going to be the number 1 target in Denver. DJ Moore, if you think this is the best receiver that Buffalo has ever had for Josh Allen. Terry McLaurin, 10 targets a game. Terry McLaurin and whatnot. So it gets a lot flatter here. So you can really start with a robust running back start and kind of eat your cake too in certain builds. And I wouldn't rely on too many of those running backs late. Now, where it really gets interesting is so early on in the process, we have a lot of trouble with our late round picks. Now, what I will tell you is just take a quick look at tight end to start. Pat Freiermuth, starting tight end for the Steelers. Terrence Ferguson, 205, rookie or second year upside bet. David Njoku. Kate Otten did not get a tight end of significance there. I can even go down to Dawson Knox. It's still just him and constantly injured Dalton Kincaid. A deeper sleeper here is Jatavian Sanders. I don't think Carolina added, I think they added a blocking tight end or maybe no tight end at all there. So there's a lot of tight end value late. And I know that Brock Bowers' situation just got a lot better because Raiders literally went zero wide receiver in the draft. But you do have those outs late to building a tight end room really in that 18th round because a lot of people are used to clicking tight ends at 19th and 20th round, which really makes it dry up. Now they don't have those two safety rounds to kind of lean on. They're going tight end a little bit earlier, and you're seeing this big middle group of tight ends. They kind of all fall and bunch into the 120s. Similarly, later round running backs, I mean, it gets kind of ugly. Really, I draw the firewall at the Rashad White, Aaron Jones level because those are the guys you can see actually being the lead running back in that running back room. However, Jonah Coleman, Woody Marks, Mike Washington, Jonathan Brooks, all backups. Tyrone Tracy and Tajay Spears are a unique case because they will have standalone value. They've had it in the past, and I probably put Keaton Mitchell in that bucket too. They'll have that value, but they're not the lead running back in their backfield. But after that, I mean, we're talking about handcuffs, maybe Braylon Allen, maybe Emmett Johnson. I mean, if you believe in Isaiah Pacheco, go ahead. Secondary running back and Dylan Sampson. And Brian Robinson, both of them will probably have roles, but not big roles. Tank Bigsby, almost a pure handcuff, might get some rushes here. James Conner, old and injured. Nicholas Singleton. The point is, it gets really ugly. The one running back I like here is Justice Hill. He doesn't have an ADP. Feel free to click him in the 18th round if you need some guaranteed points in a couple weeks. You don't know when they're going to be, but that's why he's better in best ball. Similarly, looking at wide receivers late, however, we do have quite a few wide receivers late. That's why I'm okay getting my couple wide receivers in that 20 to 50 range after I get my one or two running backs, and then I can tack it on later at the end. Travis Hunter, I don't think the bet got better or worse, but he's a great contingent value wide receiver, and he's going to fall quite a bit now in the draft. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Stephon Diggs. Well, maybe Brandon Ayuk would think was going to be a commander. But Stephon Diggs and Deebo Samuel should land on a team that didn't prioritize wide receiver. We're thinking of the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Ravens were interested in Stephon Diggs, as reported recently. We go further down. Trey Harris, the bet got a little bit thinner with the addition of Brennan Thompson. But really, the bet on Trey Harris is the talent bet, right? Calvin Ridley, the coaches came out and they said, the kids we drafted will have no effect on Calvin Ridley. Similarly, they said the same thing about Jared Jeudy. I tend to not believe them, but they'll get you points. They're going to get targets. I mean, you could do worse, right? Similarly, we have some guys like Ryan Flournoy, Jeremy Bernard, that we know are going to have some roles. Jeremy Bernard's a little bit more speculative. We think Pittsburgh's going to go back to three wide receiver sets, as per Adam Levitan. Pat Bryant, just trust me, I'm a Broncos fan. He's getting on the field. The guy blocks. He's probably the best blocker out there. He's getting on the field. Later, Devon Vele, he's still going to be out there in three wide receiver sets, which Kellen Moore has shown a willingness to play, even with nobodies. Antonio Williams, great landing spot. Dejon Stribling, 33rd overall pick. Who else is down here? Christopher Bell. More of a underdog tournament play because you want that late season production. And Miami has a completely barren, empty wide receiver room that's ripe for the taking, and he's, I think, the biggest guy in there by far. Cooper Kupp, he's going to have a role. It's gross, but he's going to have a role. The point is you have wide receivers that will give you some points late. You have tight ends that you can fill in a tight end room late, but running back really drops off a cliff in terms of your projected day one starters and even some of your backups. After really pick 150, 159 in the Tajay Spears line or the Dylan Sampson, Brian Robinson line. Those guys are going to move up. You don't really have running back after that range. Quarterback. We are seeing the same thing carry over from tree draft with the three quarterback slappiness. The problem with this is that we only have 18 rounds. So because of that, a lot of people are prioritizing quarterback when they should be prioritizing other positions. Now, what that's leaving is falling value in that 6th, 7th round. How to combat this? The way you want to combat this is look at the spread between Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Drake May, Caleb Williams, some of these running quarterbacks. Caleb's a little bit different. Versus the pocket passers now. Dak, Patrick Mahomes off the injury. It's 12 picks here, whereas Josh Allen to Lamar Jackson is 22 picks. So you really want to action that smaller difference and smaller value given up in terms of picks in that Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Drake May range relative to your pocket passers later on. And if you take one of these elite quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Drake May, I'm kind of avoiding Joe Burrow and Caleb Williams. We'll go into that later. But I'm avoiding those guys. You can maybe stick with two quarterbacks. But make sure you stack. Make sure you're being conscious. And I hope that's as quick of a rundown as I can get. I went way over the 5-minute mark. It's been 10 minutes. But I hope this gets you prepared to draft for the next 24 hours. We'll continue to evaluate the draft landscape as we go forward. And I'll try to have drafters and DraftKings iterations of this as we go forward. Thanks, guys.